So we're about a week away from the Bitcoin halving, obviously something everyone is talking about, the talk of the town, and now we've even got banks advertising on behalf of Bitcoin, talking about it in general, and also talking about the halving coming up and kind of explaining it in a more basic way of maybe a way people can actually grasp because even you look at people and talking about the halving, nobody really knows what it is. Obviously, if you're in Bitcoin and you kind of are in this world, you know what it is, but most people don't know how to describe the halving. If you ask them what it is, you'll get answers from the right thing cutting the issuance in half, or you'll get people thinking it's going to cut the total supply in half, or people think if you have one Bitcoin that you're going to get a half a Bitcoin after. So people are already all over the place, and we've got a bank making a commercial about this. Who would have thought that we would have banks going to bat for Bitcoin and kind of supporting this? And who knows if they like actually care about Bitcoin or love it or whatever, or if they're doing this as a way to try to get popularity. Obviously, a lot of people and a lot of companies use Bitcoin because they know people are very passionate about it, and they'll say we're putting Bitcoin on our balance sheet, or we're doing this with Bitcoin, and people rally behind it. And now it hasn't really worked out most of the time, so I guess time will tell. But this commercial is it's actually pretty good.
In early 2024, Bitcoin's price reached new all time highs. But what's the cause? Well, Bitcoin's price is determined by demand and supply, just like a stock. If there's more demand from buyers than supply from sellers, the price goes up. But if the opposite is true, the price goes down. And recently, the new US spot Bitcoin ETFs have increased demand significantly. But
So obviously, starting out here, just kind of super basics, just how any market works, right? Just saying supply and demand. If you got more buyers and sellers, price goes up. More sellers and buyers, price got to go down. So that's a very basic thing. Obviously, you'll get people all the time. If Bitcoin's price goes up, there's a bunch of reasons people point to. If it goes down, again, we're going to point to a bunch of reasons. But at the end of the day, the very basic thing is just more buyers and sellers, the price got to go up. More sellers and buyers, the price is heading down.
there hasn't been a significant increase in supply. In fact, there's another event happening in April of 2024 that will reduce the supply of new Bitcoin entering the market. It's called Bitcoin halving. Bitcoin was designed so only 21 million coins can be created. But instead of flooding the market with all the coins at once, a supply of new coins is slowly released into the market every day. As the name suggests, halving cuts the supply of new coins in half roughly every 4 years.
So here, obviously, you got a pretty basic way to break down the halving, just cutting the issuance in half roughly every 4 years. They got a pretty good graphic here, of just kind of trying to visualize it so people can just kind of see what's happening. I think that still people won't really know what's going on with the halving, be able to describe it. I mean, there's just got to be more education. But at the end of the day, you have to want to learn this stuff, right? Most people could not care less about Bitcoin for whatever reason, so they're not going to learn it regardless. But this is a pretty good thing, right? Pretty basic stuff, talking about the halving, how the issuance goes down, and then they also end this commercial out by talking about where the halving goes from here, the cap, and everything else that's going on in Bitcoin.
This will continue until around May of 2140 when all 21 million Bitcoin will be on the open market. So how has the price of Bitcoin behaved after the previous halving events? Well, following each halving, prices climbed up significantly. Although history suggests that Bitcoin's price is ready for more new highs in 2024, it's not a guarantee. There are other factors that could greatly impact demand and supply, which ultimately determine Bitcoin's price.
So all in all, from this commercial, it's actually a pretty good commercial, I think. At least it seems to kind of convey the information pretty basically, not go too in depth, just give an overall view, just the Bitcoin price, how the markets work in anything, kind of talking about the halving, cutting the issuance in half, what's going on with that, and then also that the 2140s and the last Bitcoin will be mined, 21 million cap, and even talking about halvings in the past, saying the price rallies after halvings typically, which obviously you can't say is going to happen, but who knows, right? But honestly, I think this is a pretty good commercial, especially coming from a bank. What are they trying to do? Are they going to offer some Bitcoin thing? Are they going to go into this Bitcoin market or use or allow Bitcoin as collateral? Who knows, right? I'm sure they've got something that they want to actually do, or just getting public favor. But we're at this point now where Bitcoin is just getting bigger and bigger. And now these other players who have originally looked at Bitcoin and said, not worth our time, complete garbage, don't waste your time with it. Now they have to look at it. Now they have to talk about it. And most importantly, the career risk that used to be along with Bitcoin, where if you were in these positions in this investing world or whatever, and you would say, Bitcoin's good, I like Bitcoin, people would look at you and go, this guy's crazy. He's got no idea what he's talking about. But now it's kind of the opposite, where if someone says, I hate Bitcoin, people are going to look at Bitcoin and say, okay, this is how Bitcoin performed. And then whatever they manage is going to say, this is how you performed. And they're going to lose to Bitcoin over a long enough time period. And people are going to point to this and say, you called this asset terrible. So what does that make your investment or your portfolio management if you can't even beat a terrible asset? But we also have more things going on too. Like we've got this right here that BlackRock launched their Bitcoin ETF advertising campaign on Bloomberg's homepage. So that's to obviously the big dogs, the people with a bunch of money who pay for Bloomberg, right? Or go and visit Bloomberg and stuff. It's super expensive. Obviously the you really people are really trying to get a bunch of data and real-time data, go to Bloomberg and stuff. So or the Bloomberg terminal is really expensive, but BlackRock is now advertising basically for Bitcoin too, obviously their ETF. And when they launched this, with what we've seen when people talk about Bitcoin, people got really excited saying, oh, Larry Fink, is he an undercover Bitcoiner? Does he get this? Is he this and that? But at the end of the day, he just wants to collect fees, right? That's why he's launching this stuff. And iBit has a real low fee, but still, they got a fee. They want to make that money. Because you've even seen Larry Fink talk about other things like tokenizing these stocks and tokenizing this and that, when it just doesn't make sense to kind of say that stuff if you really dive into it. But we also have this NFL player too making the news here, the New Orleans Saints captain saying fiat money is unjust and corrupted, saying he is Bitcoin only. So interesting to see from this too. We're getting more and more people coming out saying, I don't want to hold dollars because they are guaranteed to be devalued. I want hard money that is going to be able to store my value successfully and not be devalued or controlled by anyone. And Bitcoin's the answer to that. So it seems like we're at this point where Bitcoin's just gotten so big that people are starting to talk about it and people are starting to study it and look into it that might not have originally done that, and are figuring out that this thing is kind of cool. It's kind of a neat thing to look into. Being able to control your own money, self-custody your money with no risk of counterparty risk or no risk of being devalued or being stolen from. So it's very attractive once you learn that the dollars you keep in your bank account, those get stolen from you every year at whatever rate the inflation is, and that's been running real hot for the past few years. That's gonna do it for this video. As always, don't forget to smash the button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in my next